Welcome to another edition of the Insider Hoop Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, man, obviously a huge win for the Red Raiders, 72-57 in the first round of the NCAA tournament over Northern Kentucky. Just your overall thoughts from their performance and the win and advancing to the second round.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle there for a while in the first half. In particular, it was a 4-point game at halftime. Tech's offense really wasn't getting off the ground too much,
I was impressed. You mentioned it during the game. Northern Kentucky's defense.
They really guarded pretty well, and Tech was missing free throws. They missed layups, but I think they went 1 for 8 from the free throw line in the first half. Had 7 turnovers in the first half. That's a little bit high, and just really wasn't quite on their game. But Texas Tech tends to be a little bit of a second half team. It seems to me. And that certainly was the case today. They really came out and all the problems that they were having in the first half, they eliminated in the second and turned them into pluses. For instance, 9 for 9 from the free throw line. In the second half when you almost went over in the first half. That's right. And I think maybe they did a little bit better job on the defensive glass in the second half as well, because they were getting torn up a little bit, on the offensive boards a little bit there. So. But the defense is always there for Texas Tech, and even when you're struggling on offense because of that defense, you're going to be in it. And so that was the case. And you wind up holding a pretty good offensive team to 57 points, shooting well under 40% from the floor. I can't remember the exact number, but yes, it was a very good defensive. Hey, man, Tariq Owens, second half just took over with that defense, basically.
He set a new Texas Tech record for blocks in a Red Raider NCAA tournament. They had 4 alone in the second half, 5 overall.
And it seemed like it was twice that many. He was just all over the place.
He was.
And where he was up in the air, and so he, I think he was really maybe a huge key for what happened in the second half. And we can talk about Culver too. I mean, that was a spectacular game.
Yeah, I'll just read his stats, then you talk about him. He set Texas Tech record as well, tournament record with 29 points to go with. Wow, I can't believe he did this. 8 assists. And 8 rebounds. Wow. No, 7 assists and 8 rebounds. And 1 steal and 1 block with only 1 turnover. 29 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, only 1 turnover from Jarrett Culver.
Yeah, it was a 25-5-5 game. I mean, I think that's the first one that he's ever had in his career, and it may be one of the very few that has ever been, done it by a player, a Texas Tech player, period. So that was I honestly haven't seen him play a better game. I mean, it was really a situation where it looked like there was an NBA guy playing against a bunch of guys that weren't NBA guys. And what happens when that occurs, particularly if you got good guys around him as well.
He looked the same too. He looked like an NBA pro player.
Absolutely. But Jarrett was just a monster. He was unguardable for the most part, inside, outside, scoring at all 3 levels. 10 for 17 from the floor, which is terrific, particularly when you consider a lot of the shots that he was making and taking. So this is an outstanding game for him, and Tech had Jarrett Culver and they didn't, and that was just a massive difference in the game right there.
Yeah, it really was. Now, you mentioned the defense, the team defense. Overall, look, they held Northern Kentucky to 22.7% shooting from the 3-point line and about 37.5% from the floor, that's pretty good. Bottom line is Tech held them to 37 points. So
and 417 turnovers.
Just your overall thoughts from the defense.
Yeah, it was just classic, magnificent Texas Tech defense. Beard and Adams, those guys know how to coach it a little bit, and those guys know how to execute it. And so that's what happened. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that Texas Tech completely locked up Drew McDonald.
Yes. Yeah, he's a walking double-double. He was the Horizon League Player of the Year. I think he averaged like 19 and 10 or 20 and 9, something like that. He is a walking double-double. But today, oh man, he really struggled. 2 for 13, 0 for 6 from behind the arc. Just 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Finished with 5 points and 6 rebounds. I mean, that's probably his worst game of the year. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, he was not good, and it was because of Tech's defense.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he had a game that bad at any point this year. But in the Horizon League, you don't play against Tariq Owens and Lawrence Odiase very often.
I'll tell you what, Brandon Francis, he was locked up with him some, and he was giving him problems. I know. And Brandon, sometimes when they go small, he'll be on a big, and he does a really good job because you know, he's a senior, he's a fifth-year senior, he's a wide dude, you know, I mean, you're not going to root him out necessarily, and he's crafty, so.
Yep, that's right. You know, I mean, when you can, basically what happens in that situation is just a switch a lot of times, and so he'll get locked up on somebody like that, but that's the deal. I mean, when you recruit to a system where you switch all the time, you make sure you get guys who can switch, and so Brandon is definitely one of those guys. But overall, that defense was spectacular. I mean, they were, like Texas Tech does, hard help inside, and just kind of scramble to get back out on your closeouts. And, you know, there's going to be a couple of scary moments where you're like, but they weren't able to take advantage. And so all around, just a really, really good defensive performance by the Red Raiders.
And then Matt Mooney, we got to mention him. He finished with 9 points, 8 assists. Yeah. Now, he had 5 turnovers, but he also had 5 steals. So, I mean, Matt was balling today. He really was. And I was impressed with his performance. And I think I was really impressed. I got a chance to talk to him in the locker room after the game, and because the NCAA tournament actually opens up the locker rooms, unlike, you know, regular season games. And I just asked him about how his games progressed, and he really gave a lot of love to Mark Adams. You mentioned him. He was basically like their defensive coordinator here at Texas Tech. He called Mark Adams the greatest defensive mind in college basketball, and he said he's helped him a ton with his game. So that's high praise for Matt Mooney. It's a guy, he's been in Air Force, been in South Dakota, he's been around, you know, and for him to give Mark Adams that kind of praise is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a special coach. You know, there's doubt about it. And, you know, assistant coaches don't always get a whole lot of credit. They don't get a lot of publicity. You know, the head man is the one that has the spotlight on him all the time. But he's an invaluable member of this program, and Texas Tech grad too. You know, so you know, he's absolutely locked in here. And
his son is a Tech grad.
His son is a Tech grad, Luke, and I don't know. I imagine he's playing somewhere at this point, but
he's coaching.
He's coaching, and well, so we're thrilled to have the Adamses remaining tied into the Texas Tech community, and I think Beard probably feels the same way.
All right, and finally, what do you think of the Box Center here, and just Tulsa in general? Like, I didn't know the Box Center. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I didn't know it existed. But it's actually it's a cool looking building from the outside, and for at least our experience when we did, you know, being on the floor and everything, and the access, you know, in the bowels of the arena and everything. I actually thought I like this arena a lot. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You know, I mean, when I heard about this place, you know, and it seats around 17,000 and whatnot, I'm like, who plays there? I mean, look, the University of Tulsa, this is their home arena, you know, and I mean, look, Tulsa is a pretty decent program. But I wouldn't expect them to have an arena quite this spectacular. And so they're very fortunate to have that, and I'm sure they get all sorts of venues here, or events at this particular venue.
Artists and stuff.
And so it's not just for basketball, but as it serves its purpose very well. And the architecture is very interesting, very modernistic. I don't know if you could probably not be able to see it too well, but you can get online and check it out if you want. It's a pretty cool building.
Yeah, and there's more to Tulsa than I was expecting, let's put it that way. So we're going to actually go check that out for ourselves, you know, downtown and surrounding area here in Tulsa tonight, before covering the team, you know, again on Saturday, and then, of course, the game on Sunday. So, Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.